Sidhani kama kuna picha nyingine mnahitaji kuliko.
Twende kidogo mpaka mbele. Twende kidogo mpaka mbele.
Mwambie pande
right, celebrations ringing across the country. Those are live pictures coming in from Kapsabet and Kisii supporters of the newly elected President-elect William Samoei Ruto. And of course, it was captured at the Bomas of Kenya when the IEBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, officially declared him the winner of the presidential race of the general election 2022. Of course, several celebratory messages also coming in for the newly elected president. The Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed congratulating him for his win, including the Somali president as well, Farmajo, who also shared his congratulations to the newly elected president. But of course, many of these messages will be coming in, Wahiga, through the course of the hours and days to come.
I've actually also seen a message from the Zimbabwean president, Edward Mnangagwa, also congratulating Kenya's fifth president-elect, William Samoei Ruto, who, according to that declaration by Wafula Chebukati, garnered 7,176,141 votes. That's 50.49% of votes tallied, whilst his closest competitor, that's the Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga, garnered 6,942,930 votes. That puts him at 48.85% of total votes cast. Mashirima.
Na ukiangalia hayo matokeo unaona kwamba tofauti ni kura 233,211, kinyang'anyiro ambacho bila shaka kilikuwa kigumu kati ya wagombea hawa wakuu, lakini la msingi ni hotuba ya kwanza ya rais aliyechaguliwa William Samoei Ruto, kwamba akielezea imani yake kwamba bila Mungu wangekuwa hawajafika mahali ambapo wamefika, akishukuru mamilioni ya Wakenya ambao walisikiza timu yake, wakajitokeza, wakaenda wakapiga kura, na kusema kwamba la msingi ni kwamba katika uchaguzi huu hakujakuwa na yote aliyekosa na yule aliyeshinda. Wakenya ndio wameshinda na wamehakikisha vile viwango vya uchaguzi katika taifa hili la Kenya vimeongezeka. Jeff.
That's right, Mashirima. And you know, it was a very conciliatory speech, thanking everyone from his worthy opponent, Raila Odinga. He also thanked his boss, he called him, boss President Uhuru Kenyatta, for working with him for the last 10 years. He thanked his wife, Rachel. He thanked his team. He thanked God several times. And he said, this country, even those who didn't vote for him, he's going to work for them because he needs, quote, all hands on deck. Sam Kona, Titus Makano, your thoughts on the announcement right there a few moments ago and the celebrations we're seeing right now?
Fine. Of course, it's expected that in any election there will be a loser and there will be a winner. It presents something we call in law the calculus of felicity, such that it's an inherent human nature to move towards a pleasure, and it's also an inherent human nature to try and move away from pain. Of course, what we are seeing here is the calculus of felicity at play. The people who have won and they are associated with a win are celebrating, and the people who seemed not happy with an election, which is normally normal, of course a bit not contented. But of course, the Constitution provides the hallmark of how to approach such an issue.
Bobby.
That is, of course, we are anticipating a situation. If a petition is filed within the 7 days, then it has to be heard and determined within 14 days.
Yeah.
But in the event of failure of a petition being filed, then the first Tuesday after lapse of 14 days from today, the president-elect will be sworn into office.
Bobby, I know you also want to react to the pictures that our viewers are seeing on the screen right now, but a question that's been coming in quite a bit is the question of the press briefing that was held before that declaration by the other 4 commissioners. What possible legal implications could that have? Because, you know, the Constitution on one hand mandates Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairperson, to make the announcement, but the IEBC Act speaks about how decisions are handled within the commission, and that's why they're an odd number. Talk to us about that as you react to these pictures.
I mean, the chairperson of the IEBC has executed his mandate as per Article 138(10), which gives him the sole authority of declaring who the president-elect is. Now, the details of, quorum, details of the decision-making, whether there was unanimity in or not, which now we guess we know there wasn't because of the 4 coming out and declaring that. We assume, because we don't know, let me say we assume because we don't have the minutes of that meeting. I think part of the issues that will need to be interrogated by none other than the Supreme Court of Kenya, if a petition or petitions are filed before it. And the important thing to note is that I think even the commissioners themselves have a right to present petitions before that court. And I would
actually see a petitioner, a commissioner.
I would imagine that if they have, because this is a very, very important matter, an issue of grave public interest, and the responsible thing to me would be for them to present a petition before the Supreme Court to, and prosecute the fact that they themselves, as part of the commission, have evidence that shows that the decision-making exercise, and as I say, the tail end of it, and the verification of the results of the presidential election was compromised. So I think going forward, this is not an issue that, for them especially, should be prosecuted in the public domain. But they, as state officers, as Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, who have sworn to abide by and protect the Constitution, I think the logical and responsible thing to do would be to follow the same Constitution and follow the channels that are prescribed in the Constitution in prosecuting their issue.
Let's stick to the law, no matter how we may feel. Some of the interesting things that the 5th president-elect said in his speech, let me just recap briefly, and I know my colleagues here have other questions for my guests. He termed IBC as the hero, stated that there are no losers, went on to cite Wafula Chebukati as a hero, and some of his actions, for example, by saying that without informing the country, he put results on the portal, which was considered a game changer. And indeed, that has been a big discussion we've had across the numerous panels we've had over the last couple of days. He also spoke about thanking his competitors, and he singled out the Azimio candidate Raila Odinga for a campaign based on issues and an agenda. And he stated that he will work with all elected leaders from both sides of the political divide, if you can put it that way. And he pledged to run a transparent and open and a democratic government. And we'll continue playing you snippets of that speech there by the 5th President-elect William Samoei Ruto, even as we continue with our broadcast.
Certainly. I want to go back to something that IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati had said, that he was there to perform a constitutional duty and stand before that gathering despite the intimidation and harassment. And I think sometimes we can take for granted the fact that the Constitution birthed that moment. When you think about how much was put into it to protect such events and such pronouncements. And the reason why I ask this, and Titus or Bobby, you can take this, is a lot of questions as to the quorum of the IEBC commissioners that time the announcement was made, and whether there was a need for all of them to be there, despite the fact that Wafula Chebukati is the presidential returning officer. But what does the law actually say about the quorum of the other commissioners?
All right. Just as my colleague Bobby said, Article 138(10) of the Constitution mandates the chairperson to declare the results. Now, if you look at the IBC Act as to the, and that should be the second schedule, Rule 5, it provides for the quorum for purposes of conducting business. It says that for purposes of meeting the quorum, the IBC ought to have at least 3 commissioners, that is the chairperson and 2 other persons, 2 other commissioners. The purpose for that, and I think the framers of the law is, you remember a while back we were in a situation whereby most of the commissioners had resigned. And I think the chairperson remained, I think, with 2 or 1? With 2. With 2. So it makes the operations of the commission very difficult because they need to arrive at certain decisions in the course of their business. But the intention of having all the commissioners around the chairman at the time of making such a declaration is for purposes of legitimizing the decisions and their actions. So whereas on one hand, legally he's entitled to make a declaration because he has been given that mandate to hold brief on behalf of the commission by virtue of Article 138(10) of the Constitution. On the other hand, it is persuasive and it sort of achieves a legitimacy of the commission if all the commissioners are standing by him.
Yeah, it definitely, as I was saying before, the optics around this compromise, the declaration and the announcement, but the technicalities of it cannot be determined in the court of public opinion. We'll all have our opinions about what that means. Mine is that it greatly, compromises what's declared. It doesn't illegitimize it. That, I think, is a standard that has to be declared by the authority or institution that has been constitutionally given that authority, and can do that through evidence. And I hope, that's what I was saying, I hope the commissioners who are not happy with the decision will approach the right, the right institution so that they can lay before the institution the evidence they have, and all Kenyans and everyone in the globe can see for themselves the evidence that they have that will make Kenyans understand why they delinked themselves from the rest of the commission and the chairperson during the decision making. In terms of the quorum, again, that's what I was saying, we don't have details because when the chairperson was coming out to declare, and since Tuesday, the commission, I assume, has been meeting. I assume either from last night or today in the morning they met and to deliberate about this in terms of whether they were correct or not. Those are the issues now that will come out. But in terms of when the chairperson came out to make the declaration, we assume that it was made or arrived at from a meeting in camera that the commission did have. So the declaration was to announce what the decision was from, or the minutes from that meeting, we assume. And again, that was based on the results that they purportedly verified, tallied, and eventually the chairperson announced as constitutionally mandated. So I think those are details now that Lady Justice Martha Koome and her able team will look into. But again, assuming that any Kenyan, as the Constitution allows, will file a petition before that honorable court.
Naam, ukiwa unazungumzia maswala ya kupeleka kesi mahakamani kupinga matokeo, wale ambao wanapinga wana siku 7. Nadhani hadi Jumatatu kuwasilisha kesi hiyo. Kwa mtazamo wako, jinsi ambavyo uchaguzi huu umeendeshwa, na kwa sababu ule mzigo wa idhibati ama ushahidi uko katika yule ambaye anapinga uchaguzi huu, kwa mtazamo wako, unaona kama hiki kitakuwa kibarua kigumu ama kitakuwa kipesi? Ni
vigumu kubaini kwa wakati huu. Manake ni kiwango cha ushahidi ambacho kinaweza kubaini kama itakuwa ni kibarua kigumu au la. Manake kuna wale ambao wamekuwa wakizua kwamba na kuonyesha kwamba pengine kulikuwa na itilafu na tashwishi tofauti. Kuna wengine pengine watataka kuelekea mahakamani kwa sababu nyinginezo. Pengine naweza kutaja, nimeona kwamba kuna mgombea mmoja ambaye hakuidhinishwa kuweza kushiriki katika uchaguzi kama mgombea rasmi, ambaye nimeona alitangaza kwamba ataelekea mahakamani pia. Kwa hivyo kutakuwa na sababu tofauti, na kwa sababu katiba inaruhusu Mkenya yote ambaye ataweza kufanikisha vigezo vya kikatiba na sheria nyinginezo kuweza kuelekea mahakamani. Kwa hivyo kama tunavyosema, yale ambayo tumeona kwa wale makamishna wanne kujiondoa, na wamesema tu kwamba kulikuwa hakuna uwazi wa kutosha, lakini hawajatoa maelezo ya ziada, na nadhani pengine hawakutoa hayo maelezo manake huo ndio ushahidi wao na wataki kutangaza ushahidi wao kwa sasa. Na pengine kupitia wengine, pengine kupitia kesi ambayo itawasilishwa na wagombea tofauti, wanaweza kutumia ule ushahidi ama wao wenyewe kuelekea mahakamani. Na kwa wao pia ni lazima watoe ushahidi ni kwa nini wanasema ama wanaonelea kwamba kulikuwa hakuna uwazi wa kutosha. Kwa hivyo sio matamshi yao peke yake, lakini ushahidi ambao ni lazima wawasilishe na waweke mbele ya mahakimu ndio ambao utaweza kuamua kama ni kiwango kikubwa ambacho kisheria na kikatiba kitaishawishi mahakama kuweza kubatilisha matokeo kama yalivyotangazwa na mwenyekiti wa tume.
Jeff, I know you're... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Bobby and Titus, I know you can see the celebrations literally live around the country, and the president-elect was quick to thank his worthy opponent. The one section we haven't heard from so far is Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
We may have.
We may have.
A tweet posted 5 minutes ago by the Azimio la Umoja Deputy President candidate Martha Karua. She stated, "It is not over till it is over."
Oh.
So that's her statement so far.
It's not over until it is over.
Until it's over. I think a clear indication that what these learned gentlemen here next to us are saying is true. You'll probably be seeing a Supreme Court petition very soon. They have about 7 days to do so, and that's expected to happen. But Jeff, there's a lot happening around the country, isn't there?
Absolutely. Celebrations from Kerugoya to Eldoret to Nyeri, all over, and points in between. People are literally in the streets celebrating the win of Kenya's 5th President-elect William Samoei Arap Ruto.
But Jeff, even as we continue to show those celebrations, there's a commission that, and according to that announcement made by the chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, there aren't too many celebrations happening there tonight. He stated when he read out the presidential results that at this moment, 2 of the commissioners and the CEO were injured. He also stated that the Embakasi East returning officer is still missing. Staff members of the IEBC have been arbitrarily arrested with their locations unknown until this time. That's unacceptable. Staff have been profiled as well. And I want to hear from both the Titus and Bobby. Bobby, of course, and you were part of the team that put this new constitution together and played a key role in that as well. We did not envision this when we spoke about independent commissions, and I believe Wafula Chebukati must be believed when he puts this evidence public, you know, live on all TV stations.
Yes. And I think part of it, we've been seeing it in social media. So he sort of vindicates, because as you were saying earlier, there's a lot that's been circulating within social media, and we were to take it with a pinch of salt, you know. But when it comes from the chairperson, it sort of confirms that all these incidents have been taking place. And as you rightly put it, you know, for us as a committee of experts, what we were doing was to echo and mirror what Kenyans wanted. And I think Kenyans did not envision or anticipate that would come to have such issues, especially to do with the election management body. When you look at how it is constituted, the parameters around its independence, itself, as a commission, but also broadly as a Chapter 15 commission in the Constitution, the independence of particular commissioners, and all these were done again within the prescriptions that the IREC Commission, popularly known as the Kriegler's Commission, that interrogated what went wrong and had been going on with the management of elections in our country, and especially so the 2007 elections that was led by the now defunct ECK. And so what you see in the current constitution is an echo of the prescriptions from the Kriegler's Commission, but also the views that came from Kenyans when the guy-led commission, the CKRC commission, that collected views from all corners of the country as to what Kenyans wanted in the constitution speak to. So Kenyans expected elections to be better run and not to see anything like we saw in 2007 and early 2008. I hope we don't get there. I mean, since the 2010 Constitution, yes, we've had contested elections. We've fought bitterly, but fortunately, we've had dispute resolution mechanisms that we have adhered to, and especially the Supreme Court. I think the bigger problem for us is political. It's now beyond technical and constitutional, because if you look at what happened in 2007, yes, we had a Supreme Court petition, and one globally, making history. The court nullified, the results thereof and ordered for a repeat election. We know what happened thereafter, unfortunately. And the problem, why I'm saying now is not technical or constitutional, is because in as much as the Supreme Court pronounced itself during that occasion, the political heat did not, subside. And so I think it's around the politics, political, makeup and formations.
Yes, exactly.
That we need to, get into and really interrogate. And I think nationally, not just amongst, a cabal of a political class that wants to make decisions and, Titus, and I know you want to respond to this, but let me bring to your attention a notice from the Office of the Registrar of the Supreme Court. And this is legitimate. The filing of instructions on the filing of a presidential election petition. It's been sent out to all advocates, litigants, and the general public. They give directions that you should file this petition exclusively at the Supreme Court sub-registry located at Forodha House, just down the road from adjacent to the Milimani Law Courts, along Upper Hill Close Road. And the instructions are the petition deadline on the last available day of filing, which is 7 days from today, should be before 1400 hours of that day. So I think the court is preparing itself for...
correct. Very precisely. Of course, at this juncture, upon the chairperson of IBC making a declaration of the president-elect, Article 140 automatically is invoked, such that any aggrieved party that feels that they've been disenfranchised in any manner, they have a right to approach the Supreme Court, file their petition, and have it heard and determined within the 14 days thereafter. So basically what the registrar, who is an administrator of the Supreme Court, is executing his administrative role of just informing parties or those who seem or feel that they have been aggrieved that, hey, you have now 7 days to approach the court and assert your grievances. So he's basically doing his administrative role. But perhaps to just weigh in onto the issues of violence that have been talked about by the chair.
And concerns about the safety of IEBC staff.
It's quite unfortunate that in this time and age, the commissioners or any other person who has been mandated to execute a responsibility that they have been given by the Kenyans under the Constitution could be disenfranchised or threatened in any manner. Our Constitution and our laws provide for dispute resolution mechanisms. In case you are aggrieved in any manner, you are free to exhaust all those avenues, because you can imagine if each person in this country resorts to illegal and lawlessness, then we are staring at a state of nature, yet we are supposed to abide the law.
Naam, wakati huu ambapo tunaona kwamba kuna shangwe, sherehe zinazoendelea katika baadhi ya maeneo, bila shaka kuna sehemu ambazo wale ambao hawakumpigia kura William Samoei Ruto wana manuniko, wana huzuni wakati kama huu. Na katika hotuba yake hapo, rais wa tano aliyechaguliwa William Ruto anasema kwamba wale ambao walikuwa wanampinga hawana chochote cha kuogopa, kwamba hakuna nafasi ya kujaribu kulipiza kisasi, kwamba wanataka kila mmoja kama taifa tuweze kuja pamoja. Ni nini haswa ambacho rais aliyechaguliwa pamoja na yule ambaye hajafurahishwa na matokeo wanapaswa kufanya ili kuhakikisha kwamba taifa linasimama pamoja? Bobby.
Nadhani na hapo awali tulikuwa tathmini nini ambacho wagombea wanapaswa kufanya, na tuliona kikianza jana wagombea wanajitokeza, na kama ni kusalimu amri na kutoa hoja zao za kukubali matokeo, na hilo ni jambo ambalo lilikuwa natarajiwa, na tumemsikia yule ambaye ametawazwa kama mshindi wa uchaguzi wa wakati huu akitaja kama ulivyosema kwamba ndio ni mshindi, lakini kama yeye ni rais, manake ukishatawazwa rais, wewe ni rais wa wote, waliokupigia kura, ambao hawakupigia kura, ambao ni wafuasi wako, ambao si wafuasi wako, wanachama wako, si kwa hivyo ni rais wa Kenya wote. Nadhani la busara, na sijui kwa sababu tumeona kwamba vurugu imefika kiasi cha kwamba kuna vita wakati ule. Kwa hivyo kwangu ni kusiwe na chuki cha kiwango kile, kwamba pengine kuanzia kesho kuna jinsi na mikakati ambayo na wahusika vizuri. Tumeona viongozi wa kidini ambao walikuwa pale, na nadhani hata walipotoka katika ukumbi wa Bomas watafanya mikutano na watajaribu kukutana na washiriki wote, wadau wote wa pande zote, na kuanza kufanya majadiliano na mikutano ya kujaribu kuwaleta pamoja na kutafuta suluhu. La busara pia ni kwamba pengine tutaweza kusikia kutoka wagombea wengine rasmi, sio kupitia mawakala wao, lakini wao wenyewe rasmi waweze kutoa maoni yao kuhusu yaliyojiri, na pia kutoa mwongozo. Manake nadhani wakitoa mwongozo wa ni nini wanachotarajia kufanya, hilo ni jambo ambalo huwa linatuliza hamasa na mchecheto, na haswa kama ulivyosema katika zile sehemu ambazo zina wagombea wale ambao hawakushinda, na wafuasi pia wale ambao hawakushinda. Nadhani wakipata taarifa na maelezo na mwongozo kutoka haswa mrengo wa Azimio, basi pengine hamasa zitaweza kutulia, manake watajua pengine tutaelekea mahakamani, kuna daraja nyingine, ama huu ndio mkondo ambao tutachukua. Lakini kwa sasa nadhani ni wadau wengine kama viongozi wa kidini. Najua hapo awali tumeweza kuona tuseme kama ni wanadiplomasia na ambassadors wa kutoka mataifa mengine wakijaribu kuingilia mambo kama haya, na haya najua yanaendelea kama tunavyozungumza, na kuanzia kesho pia, ili tuweze kupata mwafaka wa kwenda mbele.
Titus and Bobby, you look at live pictures there from Kerugoya. The celebrations literally are continuing.
Without doubt, there must be celebrations in those areas, because those are areas that perceived to have voted overwhelmingly for the president-elect and his deputy.
Yeah.
So, as I explained earlier on, in law, more specifically in jurisprudence of law, there is something called calculus of felicity, the inherent nature to move towards pain and pleasure. These ones are exhibiting the inherent nature of moving towards pleasure.
I want to refer to a tweet now posted on the official account of the 5th President-elect, and actually his title now on his Twitter account is President-elect Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto. He's quoted from the book of Isaiah, chapter 12, verse 4, which says, "In that day you will say, give praise to the Lord, proclaim his name, make known amongst the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted." That's the first post by the president-elect, with 4 pictures there. The first picture with him shaking hands with the IBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati with Form 34D in hand. The second picture is him and his deputy president-elect, Rigathi Gachagua, displaying that certificate. There's another picture of Wafula Chebukati signing, penning his signature to the certificate to make it legal. And then a picture of him addressing those present at that auditorium at the Bomas of Kenya, the UCHAGUZI Hall, to be more specific. So we're getting communication. It's coming in slowly from different leaders, but the president-elect has shared his first post. We've also heard from the deputy president candidate on the Azimio side, and we will continue to monitor formal and online communication and share as soon as we can get that out.
That's right, and just a correction that it was actually the former president of Somalia, Farmajo, who congratulated the president-elect William Ruto. Speaking of which, gentlemen, let me bring you in here. In terms of what we heard Chebukati say, the IBC chair, that the results reflect the will of the people. And these are the same results that are on the public portal. You know, it opened up the servers, as the president-elect had said. How much of a game changer was this election cycle?
I think and again, we must remember that IBC thus far was trying to abide by what the Supreme Court prescribed to it when it nullified the 2017 presidential election results. And part of that, thinking within the broader scope of what the Constitution calls for, and we did put that as Kenyans as being part of our national values and principles of good governance, and the issue of transparency and also inclusivity and public participation. That in ensuring that the results, and especially those from the polling station, are made available to every Kenyan at the time of their declaration is done, did greatly infuse transparency and to a certain extent, credibility. Unfortunately, up to these latter stages of verifying the same results, and again, I think what it does is it helps the commission, because I think that's what the chairman was saying. If you have any doubt about what I've pronounced, it's as simple as you getting out a calculator, accessing the forms. Yes, there is a technical challenge of downloading the 46,000 plus forms, but there are many Kenyans who've actually undertaken that task, and they have been providing what their results are. And I believe probably now, henceforth, more will actually do it to see whether their tallies do agree with that Chebukatis. And I think to a great extent that may be what gives him the confidence that at the end of the day he may be publicly vindicated because in 2017 the problem was servers being closed, passwords are unavailable, I think, till today. But in 2022, it's open for all and sundry to look into and see whether what the Commission has reported to Kenyans does add up. So in terms of infusing transparency, in terms of bring about credibility, which at the end of the day also, and upon perhaps now examination through the Supreme Court process, will let us know whether this was a free and fair election. I think that's what will help, that it's not only a limited number of people who have access to certain information, but now it's everyone who can actually access and look into. Unless now we can have valid evidence, and I think that's what will need to be presented in court, that perhaps the transmission or the forms had there was interventions and that into the systems. I think that's the only thing that.
Nina habari nzuri sana kwa yule mpenzi wa kutumia popi ambaye kwa muda mrefu sana aliacha kutumia air fresh za popi kwa sababu feki zilikuwa nyingi sana sokoni na kusababisha original kupotea. Sasa nakupa habari ya kwamba popi original zipo na zimerudi kwa kasi kubwa sana, kwa sababu sasa hivi zinapatikana Afrika nzima. Cha kufanya pale ambapo umeenda kununua popi, hakikisha kwamba unapoitoa kwenye box lake, juu kile kifuniko unaona pale kuna lebo ya DX, lakini pia ukishika popi kwenye chupa yake chini kuna lebo ya moto. Hapo utakuwa umepata popi original kabisa. Ila kitu kikubwa ambacho unatakiwa kufahamu ni kwamba popi zimerudi na zinapatikana katika flavor tofauti tofauti. Unataka strawberry ipo, unataka vanilla ipo, unataka lavender ipo, unataka citrus ipo, na nyingine nyingi zinapatikana kwa wingi sana. Cha kufanya sasa hivi, nenda kwenye duka lolote lile ambalo unalijua, sema bana nimesikia popi zimerudi na nataka popi original. Anapokupa pale, hakikisha unachukua popi yako, unaikagua vizuri kabisa, unasema naam, hii ni original. Uzuri wa popi bwana, pale ambapo unaweka ndani ya gari ama sehemu yoyote ile ambapo unataka kuiweka popi bwana, harufu yake haipotei, lakini pia harufu ya popi haiumizi. Bana, nikwambie tu ya kwamba popi zipo za kutosha.